Good morning guys, I am Miss Turnbull's friend Olivia and I've got another little fun art project for you to do today. So Miss Turnbull tells me you've been learning about spring, which is so lovely and perfect because I have been out in my garden all morning in this amazing weather, and when I was out there I heard a little buzzing and then I looked to my right and I saw this tiny little honeybee going into this little hole in the fence. And he was going in and then he was going off somewhere else and then coming back later. And I thought to myself, what is he doing in there? Is he going in for a sleep? Is he going and storing some honey just for himself away from the hive? And then I thought, well, what do honeybees do all day? They're buzzing around us, especially at springtime, but have we ever thought about how important they are? So what I've done today is I've written a little story about the day in the life of a honeybee, and I've made my very own little cartoon. And what I'd like you to do is to come up with a colourful cartoon strip based on your story about a day in the life of a honeybee. So to make my bee picture, I used a drawing pencil, some coloured pencils, some felt tip pens, some old newspaper, an old magazine, some old coloured paper and some plain paper for you to draw on. Okay, so this is my little story and this is what we call a storyboard. What I've done before making this is I've written my own little story here, and then I've split up my page into however many segments I need, and then in each one I've drawn a little picture which will tell the story. One sunny morning, a hungry honeybee left his home in the fence in search of food. Flying close to the ground, our honeybee spied a tiny white flower. Yum, he thought. Breakfast. Full of energy from his breakfast, our bee decided to fly higher, but bee was greedy. So when he saw some pink flowers, he thought, yum. Brunch. Feeling a little full, our bee decided to fly higher and try and burn off some of his food. But our bee was very greedy, so when he saw some beautiful flowers climbing high, he thought, yum, lunch. When the bee had eaten all of the pollen in all of the flowers up high, he looked down and saw some huge yellow flowers. He flew down to get a closer look, and even though he was full, he thought, yum, afternoon tea. These flowers were so delicious that he picked up the pollen in his back legs to take home and share with his friends. Our greedy little bee was full, fat and tired, so once he had shared his dinner with his friends, he went straight to sleep. The next morning, our greedy little bee was hungry all over again, but when he looked out the hole in his fence, he couldn't believe his eyes. He could see colourful vegetables all over the garden. Our clever, greedy little bee had not only shared the pollen with his friends, but when he moved from flower to flower, he'd shared the pollen with the other flowers in the garden, and that helped the fruit and vegetables to grow. I really hope you enjoyed that story as much as I enjoyed making it, and I really hope it's inspired you to come up with your own little bee story. It doesn't have to be long, but I want it to be all your own and based on your garden or the plants and flowers in your area. I also really want to see you using as many different materials as you like. If you've got coloured pencils and some felt tip pens, it'd be great to use a combination of the two. If you've got scrap bits of paper like I had, and if you've got glue or sellotape or something to stick them with, that would be great as well. So I really want to see some lovely collage work and some brilliant original stories, and I cannot wait to see what you come up with, guys.